I thought he was talking to the room. That's how I was like, man, everybody knows what Como Staff is.
And then he asked Blagoy, he goes, you know what that means? And he kind of smiled, but he gave him the smile like, yeah, that's an easy one. Like, test me at least. So, yeah, we were kind of smirking, making fun of the fighters, in the background. That's what we do when we invade the gym. Bit nice to get back to Extreme Couture, though, right? Just see those guys.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday was kind of a slow day, but even then they still had some beasts in there.
Ray Sefo, man, the way he plays around with some of those guys in the kickboxing.
Yeah.
I mean, he really hides his chin, and he's just using his shoulder, and then he just fires back a playful jab. But playful jab from a 6-time, kickboxing champion who weighs about, 270 or whatever. I know he cuts to get to 265, so we'll just leave it at 270. There's some power coming, man. Even on a playful jab, you see some of those heads go back. It looks like Balboa and Clubber Lang.
Yeah, Ray always gets shorted at the MMA awards every year because Dana White always takes that. But if the criteria were which fight promoter could do the best job of restoring order in a melee, Ray would Did
you see him in action last year?
Yeah, hell yeah, I was at that fight. The Diaz brawl, you talking about that one?
Yeah.
Where Diaz and the Magomedov got into it? Yep.
That one? Yeah. Well, the move I'm talking about, Goes might be able to find it on YouTube. Is it a YouTube thing or a private video? Oh, it's a private video. We'll show you during the break.
Yeah.
But somebody from 209 crew tries to get cute. Not either one of the Diaz brothers, but just someone that rolls with them. And he kind of does that deal where, when someone's kind of walking around, and then what they want to do is just come in and steal on your jaw.
Yeah.
So he's trying to do one of those, and I'm not even sure if it lands or not. But Ray, it wasn't at Ray, it was at one of the Russians. And Ray got caught wind of that and either intercepted it or just got him right afterwards. I mean, literally, Tito versus Shamrock carried him off his feet and boom, right into a wall. I was telling Goes, that still has to be one of the most frightening men on earth is Ray, just because he's a savage, He's just built like a brick.
And also a nice guy. Like, has that real just kind of soft-spoken kind of,
But after seeing that, you can see how quick he could turn it around, man. I mean, he cleared that room, didn't he?
Yeah. I think what stood out for me with him when he spars is sometimes you'll see him go up against the younger guys. And you could see their wheels turning, trying to figure it out. But Ray doesn't really do that. He's just all instinct. He's been doing it so long that he knows that if he just sees this hand move, this hand's going to move. It's all muscle memory for that guy.
Goes said, what if because they were rotating, right?
Yeah.
And because it was a smaller class, sometimes there were odd numbers if somebody was, taking a breather or something. So he was just looking around and calling. He goes, you want to go on the next one? And Goes said, how much to get out there? And I said, Jesus, if it was 1 minute, I'll put on the gloves and I could probably take a couple of stiff jabs, but then I'd go, what am I doing here? This is stupid. I tasted his power, But, man, they're 5-minute rounds. And you could just see some of the lighter weight class guys like, when's this going to end? Because they have a little bit of bravado, right? They can't just say time out, I'm out. They have to finish the round.
What was your price? Did you set a price?
For the 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Oof. 10 G's?
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's
for
not
5 minutes?
He's not going to clip my jaw.
Yeah, he's not going to mess you
What
up.
I saw that he was doing was just a jab.
Okay.
And he was letting the other guys tee off on him. But every once in a while, like Go said, instinct, muscle memory, he was throwing this hook, but he was pulling it. And so I don't see myself getting laid out. Now, if someone tells him, yo, man, homeboy's getting paid 10 G's, he may think, all right, we're playing here, But I think if nobody says anything and I just go out, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to get stuck with a jab maybe 10 times and maybe a couple body shots. So at the end, I might be huffing and puffing and I'll look silly and I'll be on YouTube. But I think I'll take 10 G's for that.
And of course, the next day there's a live from our MMA sports fucking casino in Mandalay Bay.
Yeah. There's a lot of fighters that I think will.
Cotton in my mouth.
If you tell them, hey, I want to take a body shot from you or something like that, I think sometimes they take a little bit of offense to those type of things, and they really want to make it sting so that next time don't ask for something so stupid. But there's a lot of fighters, if you approach them the right way and just go, look, I just want to know what it feels like to slip your punches, the movement that you have, they'll go easy on you, and they'll do it because I think they respect the fact that you're trying to learn.
I would
Ray's
couch,
one of those guys.
Yeah, I would couch your particular scenarios going, listen, I really don't want to do this, but I need $10,000. So just try to understand. Try to understand what I'm position I'm in here.
Yeah, feel my pain.
Yeah.
All right, couple shout-outs on Facebook Live. If you're listening on YouTube, check it out. You can listen on Facebook, listen and watch. It's facebook.com/official MMA Junkie. If you're watching on Facebook, you can also watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/MMA Junkie Video. And I believe there's fighters weighing in Denver. It may even be over by now. Do you know any results yet, guys?
No.
On that? Okay. We'll hit that MMA Junkie front page and see what's going on there. There's no title fight there, so I think everyone gets their 1 pound allowance.
Yeah.
And other than maybe someone really coming in 5 pounds or heavier, I'm pretty sure every fight will come to fruition.
I said here recently at the New Year's card that being at that, not the ceremonial weigh-in, but the early one in the morning, and then all the drama. So Johnny Hendricks took forever to get in there, and then of course Johnny Hendricks should headline every weigh-in, whether he's on the fight card or not. Mm-hmm. I think you just put him on every weigh-in.
Everyone's holding their breath
because that was drama.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who are the other notorious guys right now? Is it Gastelum, Lineker, and
yeah.
By that I mean at least 2 under your belt where you've come up short. I think at that point, everybody starts saying you've got a problem with making weight. Who else? Back in the day, Anthony Johnson.
Your Mount Rushmore. Yeah. Okay, who's your Mount Rushmore of missed weight cuts?
Missing weights.
That's a good one. You got four faces to put on there.
Lineker, Hendricks, sure have to be on there.
Rumble. I mean, he's one of the founding fathers of missed weight cuts. I mean, you kind of forget about it because now he's got it under control. But back in the day when he was trying to cut to welterweight all the time, there was a lot of that.
I gave him a pass on one because it was the Clemente fight in Anaheim. He was 6 pounds over, but he got the assignment like 2 weeks to go. And then there was the one in L.A. where he was passed out and some of the guys were carrying him, but I think he made weight on that one. I know he missed it in Brazil. Who were the guys that missed? Most common.
Rumble.
Did we just name them?
I think he did. Rumble, Gastelum, Lineker, and Hendricks. Lineker's a bit of a sleeper there, because I
wonder if anyone's done a story. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah.
Thiago Alves have come.
Oh, yeah. He would be up there, too.
Yeah.
Most missed.
See, and that's the thing. I don't want to short any veterans. That's what I'm afraid of, is that I'm just looking at recent past.
Travis Lutter had the one that could have cost him a title shot. Right. So that was only one, but it was a big one because it was coming off the reality show. The whole point was winner gets a title shot, so that was a big miss.
That's a great point because
Barral cost him a fight in the bathtub.
Him and Barral, that's right.
So how do you start to weigh, hey, I missed it, but I still fought? Do a couple of those cancel, hey, I missed it, but I blew the whole bout for everybody?
No, that's a great point because it wasn't so much frequency, but it was impact of the one that you missed. That's basically the argument that they use for the Sex Pistols being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They only really made one record, but it's arguably one of the most influential records of all time. So that's kind of your Travis Lutter argument there.
Yeah.
Title shot against Anderson Silva.
What are the biggest misses? I know Mayhem had a really big one.
In the bathtub, cost himself an opportunity to win his title back.
No, I mean, like, not even close.
12 pounds over.
Wow. Didn't Luke Pauly, didn't he have like a 24-pound one time?
Well, Chidi Njokuani yesterday was 10 pounds overweight. I'm looking at him and Gallard, and there literally looks like a 1 foot. It looks like a point guard and a center chatting about, a give and go during a timeout. And I'm like, what? Now, I think Gallard shut it down. Gallard's also missed, by the way.
Yep.
He shut it down, probably. But to me, it looked like it was a Chidi thing. I don't know. I guess I should dive into it and see what happened there. But if you look at the picture, it's hilarious. It looks like 3-weight class difference.
You see a lot of those kind of really wild miscuts on smaller shows. But if we're just talking about the big time, like UFC, Bellator, that kind of stuff, who's been really way over before?
Riggs versus Hughes, I'm seeing. Gallard versus Gagey. Rampage versus Bader. Now, that cost him. That's a different type of weight cut. Sorry. It wasn't one where I think he became that notorious guy. I think Rampage, for the most part, made his weight cuts when he was at the peak of his career. It wasn't one that cost them the bout. But this is one that cost him, I believe, 50 G's because I think his reported pay was 250, and he had to give 50 G's to Ryan Bader. So that one has to have some consideration.
Yeah. You know who never had weight problems? Pride. Wonder why.
So going back to the original question, I'd have to say maybe Hendricks because he missed the bout versus Woodley, and then he's had the couple of coming overs. Hell, he had the scare where there was a point where only Lawler could win the title. Remember that one?
Yeah.
But then he came back and made it.
That was in
so
Dallas,
he's
right?
really, really toyed with it, and it's cost him. I mean, when you don't fight, you cost yourself your show money. I don't know if you're still on the hook and have to pay your coaches something. I mean, you're literally negative at that point.
Yeah, and also you have to take into account, like in Hendricks' situation, it seems like almost, and I guess it's the double-edged sword of being a perennial contender or champion, but almost all of the fights that you're talking about where that's impacted him have been either title fights or title eliminator fights or top 5 contender fights. Like, it's always on a big stage.
I would say Goes did nail one, though. I thought Alves had quite a few. It cost him money. It cost him, I think he may have been pulled from bouts. He had one recently, right?
Well, he's had
when he tried to do it up to 55. I mean, he's the original who do we get that kind of launched Dolce's career.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't he have one against Matt Hughes, but it still worked in his favor because he still took the fight. And
he still took the fight. He blasted Matt Hughes with that one. I don't know. I think that's a good one to just – I don't know if we can come up with an answer on the fly, but I'm thinking Gastelum, Hendricks, Johnson, Alves, Linekers, Barrows, and it's all what your criteria is. What was the worst thing? The money, the look from Dana and Joe, or, I don't know, or did it cost you your job? Did you have to move up in weight class and get your ass kicked? There's a lot of criteria to –
That Mount Rushmore would have 4 faces on it, but all the faces would be real drawn out. Like those would be 4 extremely dehydrated faces.
Who are the chicks that have missed? Misha had a scare, but she made it.
Yeah. It seems like you've seen that occasionally in Invicta. Like, I always chalk that up, though, to, like, at that level where people are kind of still working other jobs and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like you're able to put your full-time focus on, and you're maybe taking fights real short notice and stuff like that. So almost don't count that. But
did Cyborg make it every time, or did she have a couple misses? She made her 2 140s, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
I think she's always made it.
And Gina, same thing?
Yeah. Gina's had her scares.
I think she's had her scares. No, I don't think I can come up with too many females that have
missed once, I think.
I know. Here's a story from back in the day. Everybody that loves 115, the strawweight division, if you ever have time, well, you can't go on the UFC Fight Pass because it's a belt. Bellator had an original strawweight tournament that had some great fighters in it. It had Zoila Frosto, had Jessica Aguilar, had Carla Esparza. It also had Megumi Fujii in it. A couple other names.
Somebody else.
A couple other names that went on to Tough.
Jessica High, I think, was in it, wasn't she?
Was she really?
Let me look it up.
And anyway, the Jessica High wound up fighting her later. But this is when Bellator had the tournaments every 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And the winner was Zoila Frosto. She said it was so bad one time that she almost cut off her ponytail because she was within a half pound. Wow. This is when she was with George Gurgel. But she said it was too much and too quick because basically it's 3 fights in 60 days. So that's 3 weight cuts in 60 days. But it was a lot of people give her a lot of credit for winning that tournament because at that time they hadn't assembled talent like that. I think there was a Lisa Ward or I forget.
Rosie Sexton, Jessica Penne.
Uh-huh.
Wow, yeah, she had to go through Jessica Penne, Jessica Aguilar, and Megumi
Fujii. And who else was in it?
I don't know.
I mean, 3 of those are ranked fighters right now. That's almost like Shogun winning the open weight Grand Prix in Pride.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe DC winning the Strikeforce heavyweight. I mean, that's just one of those tournaments that you remember and it's etched in stone. This weekend, you have Valentina Shevchenko minus 145 versus Jessica Pena at plus 115. Did they make the right lady the favorite here, guys? I really thought Pena was going to be the favorite, and I thought there might be some money to be made on Shevchenko if I was going to try and include her in my parlays. Or has the line shifted? Does anybody remember opening odds?
Wow. I always remember it being pretty much a pick'em.
Usually
but I would think Pena would be the favorite.
When they're close fights, usually the grappler is the favorite. Donald Cerrone, minus 160. George Masvidal, plus 130. These are MGM Resorts International lines. You can go to Monte Carlo, Aria, MGM, Excalibur, Any of them. Mandalay Bay. They're all the same. Francis Ngannou, minus 450. Andre Arlovsky, plus 325. What are they trying to tell us there?
Mm-hmm.
They really believe in this Ngannou guy. And he's never beaten a top 10 guy, but he's destroyed everyone they've put in front of him. Hick Diaz, Jason Knight is minus 150. Alex Caceres, plus 130. Rafael Assunção, minus 145. Aljamain Sterling, plus 115. Sam Alvey, minus 150. Nate Marquardt, plus 120. Could this be a fight that Marquardt, every time he loses, people wonder if that's it for him, and he somehow will rally back and get a win? This is at home, a lot of pressure, and Alvey, he wins his fair share of fights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely does not like the retirement talk if you bring it up to him. But when he loses, it just doesn't look good. The whole performance doesn't look good. But you're right. Every now and again, he'll come back and get that one win that gives him a little bit more life. But Sam Alvey's tough, man. He could take a shot.
Is Sam Alvey getting enough credit for fighting on the Donald Cerrone frequency plan? Do you guys?
Probably not.
I don't think he does either. I mean, the number of times that he's popping up, and it's always on a prelim or something like that. But man, that guy quietly is doing yeoman's duty.
He sure is. Money is coming in on Shevchenko because this was printed at minus 120 and it's already up to her minus 145. Some big money's coming in on Shevchenko. Also, if you're a boxing aficionado, I got a tip.
From who? Because I got one too.
Did you? Oh, same guy.
Okay.
Dejan Zlatikanen is fighting Mikey Garcia. But we're hearing this Dejan guy is underrated, and he may be worth that price, plus 190 if you're a boxing fan. 866-522-2846 is the number to call in. Let's talk to Hal from Chicago. What's up, Hal? How you doing?
Check this out, cuz. You were talking last week about best atmospheres for a sporting event.
Yeah.
For me, my highlight was probably going to Cleveland to watch the Cubs in the World Series with my dad.
Dude, you were texting me those pictures. I was so happy for you. You went to 2 or 3 games or something like that?
I went to 2. I did that first one in Cleveland. It was game 2, and then by coincidence, my brother scored tickets for Wrigley, game 5 in Wrigley. I also went with my brother and my dad. That was awesome.
Epic. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So you were 1-1, right, or 2-0?
2-0.
Oh, wow.
2-0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Cleveland was crazy, man. That place is huge. I've never seen just the electricity, man. I've never seen anything like that. That was awesome. So glad I went, man. It was awesome.
Who do you like this weekend?
Now, all right. Here's the Hail Mary parlay. So get ready so you can bet the other way. Masvidal, Sterling, Marquardt pays about 10-1.
I'm probably with you on everything except Marquardt scares me. There was a Marquardt that at one time I thought had the best chance of any middleweight. I thought he had the best skill set to beat Anderson Silva because he could grapple and he could strike. Then he got blasted by him in Sacramento. But I still thought he was coming back. He was doing his thing. And then Chael checked him in a fight here at Mandalay Bay. Chael Sonnen. Then after that, he just didn't seem to be the same Nate Marquardt. Although he went to Strikeforce and did well for himself as a welterweight.
The thing is, I lost big on the Barn Cat, Camden McRory, and Marquardt wasted him. That kind of let me know that he still got something,
Yeah.
So and then here's Alvey, who just kind of stands around. He stands around waiting for the kill shot, waiting for that overhand left. It's coming. He just that's not going to work against Nate. So Alvey can go ahead and KO some of the lower level guys. And I know Nate's not what he used to be, but I don't think that overhand right, just cocking that kill shot is going to work against Nate. But if you're not feeling that, then put in Valentina. I'm very high on her. That still pays like 7-1.
Mm-hmm.
It's like plus 725. So I'm really high on Valentina, man. I don't think Peña's not ready for this, man. She's not black belt in judo, Peruvian, Russian. That's a nasty combo right there. She throws hands. I think Peña might win a couple rounds, and then it's all Valentina, man. She's just not ready for a woman that's going to be in there and is not going to be bullied around, you know, and that's Pena. She's just kind of like by brute force, no setup, comes in there sloppy, shoots, just kind of late, you know, smothers you, and it's not going to be enough.
Right. Well, we'll see, man. The talking's done, and that fight can go in so many ways. I really like to envision fights, picture what's going to go down, and I think it's just going to be all over the place. And I still think it'll go down to their secondary traits. Did Shevchenko close the gap on grappling, or did Pena close the gap on striking? You know, because both of them have the advantage, and you know, with Pena, I think it's vicious on the ground for sure. I think even Shevchenko would tell you that, and I think vice versa. You know, Shevchenko is quite the striker. All the accolades are there, and I believe Shevchenko has closed the gap more as a grappler than Pena has as a striker. So if most of the fight, if most of those 25 minutes do go with them striking, then I just think Valentina's going to, especially with damage now at the forefront, a lot of damage can come from striking. I just have to lean towards her. All right, thanks, Hal, for the phone call, brother.
You don't feel like it's inevitable, though, where we see that one performance where everybody says, all right, Valentina, maybe you should drop down? 'Cause these girls are pretty big, man, when they're matched up in front of her.
She walks around at 22. I got the weights. Let me tell you those first. But she walks around really low, you're right. So Valentina weighed in at 134.4. Juliana Pena, 135. Donald Cerrone, 170.8. George Masvidal, 171. Andre
He's had a
Arlovsky. Masvidal?
Yeah.
Has he?
Weights.
Okay. Andre Arlovsky, 246. Francis Ngannou, 253.6. Alex Caceres, 145. Jason Knight, 145.6. On the prelims, Sam Alvey, 185.6. Nate Marquardt, 185. Rafael Assunção, 135. Aljamain Sterling, 135. I'm not even going to give you the decimal. It looks like everybody basically made weight except for Marcos Rogerio de Lima, came in at 209.6. Alexander Pantoja, 126. Eric Shelton, 125.8. J.C. Cottrell, 155.8. Jason Gonzalez, 156. All right, on the Facebook chat, Brian Edward Jerry. I've heard of 2 first names, but 3 first names as part of his name is a little bizarre. He was wondering, he says it's asinine that neither Diaz is on UFC 209. I kind of agree.
Yeah.
But Nate apparently won't fight unless they pay him $20 million. I think the organization has told him, you're not getting that. With Conor or Conor, you're just not getting that. So he's apparently applying for a boxing license. But I heard yesterday that Nick was asked to fight. And get this. I saved the article. I think I have to give credit to Bloody Elbow, I believe. Let's see here. Yeah, I saw it on Bloody Elbow. Bloody Elbows. Nick Diaz says he'll return pretty soon, but isn't in the right situation to accept an immediate fight. And I guess the interview took place on Hosta Radio. And somehow it's stated in here, comboing with a report that Lance Pugmire of the LA Times did. Apparently, this guy was offered a shot against Tyron Woodley. Did you guys hear that?
You talking about Diaz?
Nick Diaz, yeah.
No, I didn't hear that.
Watch, I'm going to read it to you. Where is it? I read it yesterday, so I kept the window open. Lance Pugmire of the LA Times reported that Diaz plans to return pretty soon, air quotes, but didn't specify why he turned down a fight against Tyron Woodley. Sorry, the paragraph before says, now cleared to fight. Diaz was expected to make a return at UFC 209 pay-per-view, and I got it. I thought they were talking about the Lawler matchup. Yeah. You got to get you a 209 guy on 209. The 209 pay-per-view on March 4th, but he reportedly turned down a championship bout against Tyron Woodley in the main event. If you had seen that or heard of it or they made it, how sick in the stomach would you have been?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty bad.
He does not deserve a title shot. I'm a fan of Nick Diaz's fights, but he already got that benefit once with GSP. He's been out of the game.
Yeah.
So what I say is, okay, WME, IMG, I feel you. I hear you. Entertainment. I get it. But Jesus Christ, give him one fight. Let him win that, and then put him in a title shot.
Yeah.
Straight into a title shot? He hasn't won since 2011?
October.
That just makes, I mean, now it's like, that's asinine.
Mm-hmm. Now it's WWE at that point.
I read that, and I was like, whoa, I had to, like, reread it and make sure I wasn't missing anything.
there's some guy sitting there going, yeah, I know. Those are all good points, George, but you don't understand. The area code matches the pay-per-view number.
There is.
See,
there
so
is.
we got to, yeah.
You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. When we come back, we'll take your calls, 866-522-2846. We'll also talk to Ron Kruck from Access TV. Ben from New Zealand, we'll get you first.
They be saying they can take out Adam Horovitz. Hurricane.
Blah, blah, blah. Here are those two dummies, George and Goes.
All right, so co-hosting today is Richard Hunter. He's the host of Phone Booth Fighting. And again, subscribe to it on iTunes or Stitcher. Stitcher's pretty big, too. I got to give them the respect. I've always been an Apple guy, so...
SoundCloud. I noticed we were on SoundCloud, and I noticed you guys are on it now, too.
Yeah, we're on it
People want
now.
SoundCloud. They get mad if you're not on SoundCloud.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We heard that.
Yep.
We responded, and I think things are starting to work out with RSS feeds, all that technical shit that I don't know much about.
Let me just say this. Never mess with your RSS feed. It's for life. So when you take an RSS feed, that's it. It's like penguins. You've mated for life with your Never mess with your RSS feed.
Well, we just completely messed with our RSS.
We just did it after 10 years.
Oh, boy.
Really?
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully everything will be fine. Hopefully, I'm just saying it can invite disaster.
What did we just do? Did we just walk up to Mike Tyson and poke him in the eye? I mean, like, how bad is messing with the RSS feed?
Okay. So here's what can happen. So our RSS feed is phoneboothfighting.com/RSS. Okay, we designed a new website. When we put the new website up, we did not realize that it was going to break that RSS feed. So the next day that I went to upload a podcast, the next morning I like to bask in the glow of our popularity. You know, I like to pull up that number and just sit back, and I pull it up and it said 0. That meant it didn't go to anyone. Now, when you mess with the RSS feed, the big ones, okay, the iTunes, the SoundCloud, Stitchers, that's going to be okay because your host most likely automatically fixes all that.
Yeah.
But what you don't realize is there's a whole bunch of people that listen to your podcast on these little mom and pop apps. Like, well, I get it through Billy Bob's podcast catcher. That's how I listen to you guys. Well, those don't automatically update. Mm-hmm. So when you break the RSS feed, it's like hundreds of no forwarding addresses left.
Yeah, that's something that was brought up to us, and they said it's going to take a little bit of time before those people figure out what's going on.
But they didn't phrase it like that, like what we were committing was the equivalent of the button, you know.
Well, I hopefully that won't
rockets
happen.
on our way to Russia.
And you can tell by like the numbers and stuff that did happen, but every day it seems like those people are catch on. Going,
and so what's the announcement right now? Just tell everyone, I guess, update your RSS feed, or
yeah,
they did tell us.
Talked about it
yesterday.
yesterday.
We'll just do it every day for a while.
Yeah, if you're having that sort of issue and you're probably a person who shouldn't be streaming our show, but you just happen to be, you want to update your RSS feed. That way you'll be able to get all the new.
The go-to move as well, kind of the default, is you can always try unsubscribing and then resubscribing right away. A lot of times that kickstarts it. Mm-hmm. So,
and you know, I don't say this too often.
Not that I'm encouraging people to
unsubscribe,
but you know, a two-step process. Yeah.
Those iTunes reviews, holler at us, people. Seriously, you help us a lot when you do that. So if you could do that for us, that'd be great. And hey, I ain't gonna hate anybody that gives us 5 stars. iTunes reviews, 5 stars. We read them all. If we don't earn the 5 stars from you, then at least let us know what we're doing wrong. Just to finish out, the plugs for Richard's podcast, Phone Booth Fighting. It drops twice weekly, and he hosts it with former UFC heavyweight champion Frank Mir. On Facebook and on Instagram, follow them at Phone Booth Fighting or /Phone Booth Fighting. You get what I'm saying? I don't think Facebook uses the @ sign. And then on Twitter and Snapchat, it's Phone Booth Fight.
And we also have a new YouTube channel, which is Phone Booth Fighting, and starting next week, we're going to have live video of the shows as well. There's already a couple of like little mini documentaries up there. We did a one when we went did Fighter and the Kid and our trip to LA and all that kind of stuff. You can actually see me shoot a gun for the first time.
Really?
That video's on there. And I recently got us lost in a national park. I don't know exactly how I did that. You guys are from the LA area. You've driven this route many, many times. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I did. I was following my GPS. You know how sometimes because of traffic it will tell you, hey, if you want to save 10 minutes,
hit the
hit this
138
button, and it'll take you a different way, right? So we're driving back from L.A. It's dark. Frank has fallen asleep in the passenger seat because we went and ate, and he ate himself into a food coma. And I hit that button to avoid rush hour traffic. Next thing I know, we are going up a mountain. I'm seeing signs for a ski resort. And
it's mountain high.
I don't know where we are. We lose reception on the phone. He wakes up, and all he says is he wakes up. He goes, "Where are we?" and I don't know, and we're going up these winding roads, and there's a long silence, and he goes, I have 5 guns. Like he just took a mental inventory real quick in case we had to set up a camp and defend ourselves, I guess.
We got one more break coming up, so I got to take Ben from New Zealand, and then we got to get this break in. Right, Danny? Are we on course for another break?
Yeah, we're going to have to take one pretty soon, right after Ben.
All right. What's up, Ben? How you been?
Ben can already tell us who won in Shevchenko and Pena. Right?
That's right. How you doing, Ben, out there in New Zealand?
I'm doing good as gold, lads. I have got the fights on the DVR, but I haven't actually watched them yet. So.
Oh, damn. I was hoping you could tell me so I could fill out my parlay. All right. What else is on your mind?
Well, first of all, Gigi sort of related to yesterday's show and Aspen Lads' walk-in music. Have you seen Heat with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and Val Kilmer?
I love that movie.
Have you seen Collateral with Jamie Foxx? He's a taxi driver and Tom Cruise is like a hitman and he hires Jamie Foxx?
Yes.
You have?
I have.
Well, Last of the Mohicans is by that same director as Michael Mann. Last of the Mohicans is that music that Aspen Ladd walks into, and if you haven't seen that, you got to see that, man, because you said you like historical type stories. You were saying you enjoyed Pirates of the Caribbean, but then it turned into a fantasy film. Well, Last of the Mohicans doesn't turn into a fantasy film. It's pretty hardcore. I mean, it's Michael Mann. You got to see that, man.
Last of the Mohicans?
He's the man.
Okay, I'll check it out. I will check it out.
Now, one of the big stories this weekend is, of course, Cowboy fighting at home in Denver and the home advantage factor, and that's been something that comes up on the show fairly regularly. And so one of the things that, you guys do a lot if you do your picks and you do betting and what have you, and I want to sort of pick your brains about how much you factor in, and obviously every fight is different, but how much do you factor in home advantage when you're looking at these matchups? There have been fighters that have talked about this, the different things. I mean, obviously, you're traveling from across the equator, like a New Zealand fighter, an Australian fighter might, or even a Brazilian fighter. You're going from summer to winter. And, you can be changing time zone, and there's all the travel costs for any cornermen over and above what the UFC allows for in this travel time and availability of regular dietary requirements. There's all sorts of things we've heard fighters mention or not. But on the other side, I think Rich Franklin's probably the most famous one who mentioned it. There can be an extra pressure from fighting at home that one or two fighters might feel. So how much do you put any sort of percentage, like 3% or 5% or 10%? How much of an advantage do you think home advantage really is in MMA?
I've heard more of the positive. I like being home, and it benefited. Rich Franklin is an excellent case of when it didn't work out. I think Verdum getting crushed by Miocic had to do with he was at home, but his shoot box teammates had won, and I think he just wanted to keep that vibe going in the stadium, and so he was reaching for his own KO, and then he got clipped. So there's many cases on both sides, but I've heard more where it benefited. As far as like putting a percentage on it, I don't know. Maybe I would say like I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I would just say that
I put 0.
0?
I put 0 because
if Masvidal had come in on Tuesday, then I'd say Cowboy's going to have an advantage. I really believe in the altitude.
That's the only thing that I factor in.
And air pollution and, like Mexico City or whatever. But because he adjusted, I think he'll be all right. I think guys thrive off that pressure of not – Cowboy's the guy that's got to wake up early and do the Howdy Doody and Susie show because he's a Denver guy. He's up at 6 a.m. You see what I'm saying? So there's pluses and minuses on both sides. Masvidal's just in cruise control. He's going out there. Some guys really thrive on being the road warriors. The Packers did it to the Cowboys. The Packers didn't do it to the Falcons.
If it's for gambling purposes,
but I'd still rather have the home guy. Go ahead.
If it's for gambling purposes, do yourself a favor. Hop on that person's social media, their Twitter, their Instagram. Find out when they got there. If you want to play that game, I would say do that. But as far as just the fact that they're at home, everybody handles that situation differently. We've noticed.
We got a break. Do you have something?
Yeah, no, it's very quickly. I think it's a sweet spot because a lot of guys don't like the real long foreign travel. But at the same time, I've heard a lot of guys say that when they fight at home, everybody's hitting you up for tickets and you're at home with the wife. And if she doesn't understand, hey, it's fight week, I got to not hassle you about stuff, that there's a whole lot of stuff that comes with that there's a big benefit to getting away from all that and being somewhere else.
You are listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Quick break here, and then we'll come back with Ron Kruck from Access TV Fights. We'll be talking about CES, which takes place tonight on Access TV, Channel 340 if you have DirecTV like us. Stay close. And more of the curly hair.
Here are my life coaches. Everything I've done has been under their strict supervision. Here are George's Goes and Chores.
Jesus Christ, what happened to him?
He's
What happened to
hitting the
Rock?
socks.
Yeah, all right. So check it out, guys. Tonight, CES doing their thing at CES 41 out in Rhode Island, Lincoln, Rhode Island. So that's probably one of those where Chevelle is taking 3 planes, and one of them only fits 15 people, and there's lots of bumps to get in. And our man, Ron Kruck, Roving Ran Kruck, he is going to be out there with the broadcast team. Follow him on Twitter at @rkruck. 9 p.m. start time out there in Rhode Island. At 6 p.m. here in Pacific time zone. And again, I'm helping you guys. I'm holding you by the hand, for crying out loud. Access TV's channel 340 on DirecTV. Now, if you have Time Warner or something else, check your local listings. But what I do is, if I come across a channel, I put it on Wikipedia, and usually it'll tell you what channels they're on Dish, on Time Warner, on Comcast. So that's the easy way.
You know how I get it, and I don't even have cable? Amazon Fire Stick, Sling app. You can buy it a la carte.
How about that?
Yeah, I get a little package, like a $10 a month package, and Access TV comes with it.
All right.
Just a word of advice if anybody's going, oh, yeah, that's awesome, but I don't have Dish or I don't have cable or whatever. There's another way to do it, and it's totally legit.
Here's our guy, Ron Kruck. What's up, Ron? How you doing?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on, as always.
So check it out. We have a featherweight title matchup out there in CES. And by the way, good for those guys. There are tickets available, but only in the $41 and $51 range. The baller section's already sold out. The 101s, the 125s, the VIPs, they're all done. So hustle if you're going to get out there and watch it. And if not, of course, Access TV has you covered. We have Matt Bissett and Kevin Kroom in the main event, 145 pounds, 5x5. That means it's a world title fight.
You're exactly right, and everyone here is expecting this to be a Fight of the Year candidate. It's going to be a absolute, as Michael Chavella would say, crack up. Kevin Kroom and Matt Bissett. Bissett's the CES featherweight champion. He comes in ranked number 2 in Pat Militich's rankings, and he's won 5 straight. He hasn't lost since 2015. Bissett, of course, is a Bellator veteran. He went 7-2 in that promotion, and really extremely well-rounded, athletic fighter. But he's going to have his hands full with another veteran, Kevin Kroom. The hard-hitting hillbilly making his CES debut tonight. This is a guy who was 20-0 as an amateur before he made the jump up to the pros. He's now 17-7. A very, very tough fighter. He's coming off a loss at Shudo back in November, so he needs to win 2-3 in his last 5. So this is going to be a great matchup. I like Bissett in this one, but it could go either way. Both these guys have very similar fighting styles, guys. Both are brown belts in jiu-jitsu. What's even more crazy is they both have finished fights the exact same way. Both have 8 wins via submission and 5 victories coming by way of TKO or KO.
Balanced attack on both sides. I love it. Bissett defending against Kroom in the main event. And then I'm hearing in the co-main, the cruiserweight division is being spotlighted. Kevin Haley versus Pat Walsh.
How about that, guys? You got to give CES, their matchmaker, Patrick Sullivan and Jimmy Birchfield Jr., a lot of credit for putting on the first ever sanctioned MMA cruiserweight, 225 pounds. We have talked about this for so long. Those guys came on Inside MMA all the way back in early 2015 talking about the need for a cruiserweight division. They finally got it done working with the Rhode Island Athletic Commission. So tonight, Pat Walsh and Kevin Haley will fight in the first cruiserweight division matchup. And for me, it's a long time coming. I think for too long, the massive 60-pound weight discrepancy between light heavyweight and heavyweight was tough for really a select group of fighters who had a tough time cutting down to 205 or risking fighting much larger opponents in the heavyweight division. So I think this cruiserweight division is really creating a new MMA athlete at 225 pounds. It also means safer weight cuts, and I'm hoping fighters with more energy and power the night of the fight.
Goes, what do you have for Ron Kruck?
Ron, we're coming off 2 very exciting legacy cards. When that happens in the Access TV world, the family, and even CES, are they able to carry the momentum from other shows and just get just as fired up to, not really a rivalry, but just to kind of, outdo each other a little bit?
That's the worst question ever, Goes.
Wow.
So he heard.
He heard you. He heard you. So
me.
Danny, the producer, fucked you, Goes. I love it.
I hate Danny.
Whoa, okay.
I couldn't let that go. You're getting a little cocky saying each week that I would say that was a great question, Goes. So I had to come back firing. No, you know what? There is, with our promotions, of course, Access TV fights. We have LFA now, and they're putting the majority of shows on. We've got, of course, Lion Fights. We'll see you guys out in Vegas next week, and the CES. And what we're trying to do really with the Access TV fights and Pat's Prospects rankings is including CES, so it's not all about the LFA. So there is a healthy rivalry between these two organizations. Everyone wants to put on the best MMA shows they can, and so I think it's very healthy. When we were back in early January, we got together with all of our promoters, Sven Bean and Mick Maynard and Ed Suarez from LFA, and then Jimmy Birchfield Jr. and Patrick Sullivan from CES. And we got together and we really were talking about, well, what can we do, to really make sure that this is a family here on Access TV, and that's why we kind of started these rankings to kind of see where the CES fighters will fall against the LFA guys who are getting a lot of press right now. So what's going to be interesting in talking with both Kevin Kroom and Matt Bassett in the featherweight title fight is both of them would like a shot at number 1 ranked Ione Barcelos, who is the former RFA champion and is currently number 1 in our rankings. So these guys are paying attention to what's going on in the different promotions, and maybe a little tease, hopefully we will see maybe a CES fighter taking on an LFA fighter in the future.
That's legit. Now, listen, we have 90 seconds. We also have Richard Hunter co-hosting with us from the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast, so let's make it quick on this one. Richard, what you got for Ron Kruck?
Yeah, Ron, just real quickly, I was going to ask you what your research process was like, because I think, you and Pat and Michael always do such a great job of being able to speak knowledgeably about the promotions. And, when you're dealing with some promotions that, it's not like you can just go to Fight Pass and everything's always there. Sometimes you got to do a little bit of digging. What's that process like for you guys? Because you guys are never caught unprepared.
Well, Richard, I appreciate you saying that. We have a great staff. We are a limited staff. The stuff that we do compared to the bigger organizations is pretty remarkable. But AJ Pacheco, who actually does a lot of our research for us, is fantastic. Our producer, Jamie McClintock, is awesome, too. AJ actually trains up with Dwayne Ludwig in Broomfield, so he knows the sport. He gives us great stats every week, but also the key is talking to these fighters. We always have our fighter production meetings the day of the weigh-ins, and to sit down and talk to these guys, that information is invaluable.
Ron, thank you as always. We're pumped. CES 41 tonight. Break a leg, sir.
Appreciate it, guys. We'll see you at Lion Fight next week in your hometown of Vegas.
You got it. All right.
Boys.
We'll see you. We'll be right back, folks.
I'm gonna have me some fun. It cost me my very last.
All right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMAjunkie Radio Show. I do want to let everybody know here before we get to our next guest, comedian Joey Diaz, who you can follow on Twitter at MadFlavor. Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, it's the UFC on Fox, Shevchenko versus Pena card. Listen to hard-hitting MMA play-by-play action as UFC Women's Bantamweight Championship contenders square off when Valentina Shevchenko steps into the octagon against Juliana Pena. Enjoy the entire main card, including the Donald Cerrone versus Jorge Masvidal bout, followed by post-fight coverage on Fox Sports, on SiriusXM Channel 83, and on the SiriusXM app. Joining us now is the funniest man on the planet. His name is Joey Diaz. What's up, Joey? How you doing?
How are you, sir?
Good, and you?
You know, trying to put the pieces together. What's going on down there?
Not much. I'm also joined by Richard Hunter from the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast, and of course, one of your arch enemies, the fabulous Goes, that gives you all the crazy questions.
Why am I the arch nemesis?
Because of the questions.
Goes is my little brother, bro. Goes better be careful. Trump's got his name on the list. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Joey, man, we got some fights going on this weekend.
Goes, you better be careful. What happened?
Nah, finish that thought. Why do I have to be careful?
Because fucking Trump's got your name on the list, cocksucker. My face is turning red. I gotta fucking be careful.
Yeah. Joey Diaz, our guest here on MMAjunkie Radio. He's got a lot going on Twitter at MadFlavor, and of course, 2 times a week you can catch him as a co-host of the podcast, the very popular podcast and successful podcast, The Church of What's Happening Now, along with his partner Lee Syatt. Subscribe to that on iTunes. And Joey, finding more out about him, you can go to joeydiaz.net. He's performing at Nashville in Tennessee at Zany's February 2nd through 4th. He'll be in Burbank at Flappers on the 14th. He'll be in Bloomington, Minnesota, the 23rd through the 25th of February, and marching through like a soldier, like he likes to say, West Palm Beach the following weekend in early March. joeydiaz.net. All right, a couple more fights we want to pick your brain about because we're starting to put our parlays together, our straight bets together. Does Andrei Arlovski still have something? Because that Francis Ngannou's a beast, man. But, you know, Arlovski hits hard, and when he puts it on you, he can take you out. But what do you think happens here?
Arlovski's a fucking champion, you know, and he's been there since day one. But his jaw's a little, you know, once you get that button pressed, people know it. This Ngaio guy, whatever his name is, I love that. He's big, he's strong. He gets one of those fucking black hammers in on whatever. It could be night time, you know. Like I said, I love Arlovski with all my heart. He's one of the guys that got me into it, but he put the fingers in his mouth and shit.
Right.
I love all that stuff, but I think he might have his hands full here with this gentleman. This kid is on the way up. He hits hard. He's young, you know, and he's hungry, you know, and we've seen this 1,000 times before.
I wish
Arlovski goes in there and knocks him out, but I'm trying to be as realist as I can. I'm not trying to talk as a fan. I'm trying to, you know, talk as as somebody who's going to put a bet in, you know.
Right. Out of the Longo Serra camp, you have Aljamain Sterling, solid bantamweight. He just got checked by Brian Caraway. He's coming off a loss. He wants to get his swagger back because he was undefeated going into that fight. And then Rafael Assunção, he's been around the game for a long time. He recently lost to TJ Dillashaw, but prior to that, he had a 7-fight win streak. So both of these guys need a win bad at 135 pounds. Who do you like here, Joey?
I like Assunção. I don't know much about Sterling. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I just seen Rafael fight a couple times. I haven't seen Sterling fight. Like, I've been busy lately with a lot of other stuff. But, yes, you know, I think I'm leaning towards Assunção on this. He's been around for a while. He's experienced. I'm leaning towards him, if anything.
All right. Well, Goes, he's Goes is chomping at the bit. By the way,
on the phone with you at the end of track betting daily doubles. You know what I'm saying?
Goes, what do you have for Joey Diaz?
Joey, we were laughing our asses off yesterday when we watched you on the Hot Ones doing the Hot Wing Challenge. Tell us, I know you've seen other comedians go on there and do that, and they probably told you, look, man, it's pretty bad towards the end. Was it worse than you expected, or was it pretty much along the lines of what you expected?
Never heard of the show. I don't know what the hell's going on in society today. But when they asked me to come on the show, like the day before, I clicked on. Like, I knew I was going to go on the show, like, for 2 weeks. And the day before I clicked on, and I see this DJ Khaled tap out. I'm like, if DJ Khaled fucking tapped out, I'm definitely going to tap out. So I didn't know how bad it was going to be. I started, like, getting resistance. Maybe I shouldn't go. Maybe I should get fucking vertigo, you know, something. And then I said, what am I going to do? Let me go down there. The first 6 wings were delicious. It's when you get to number 6 that they just fuck you up. I mean, everything. Your throat, your lungs burn. It is a fucking nightmare. 7, I think 6, 7, and 8 are just fucking killers. And 9 and 10 aren't that bad. But those 3 are fucking nightmares. Nightmares.
So just like you said on the show, were you basically crapping blood the next day?
God, a whole wing came out, covered in blood. Spit out. With an intestine wrapped around it, with a to-go note. You know what I'm saying? With a fucking suicide note. Those wings were hot. But they were good. You know, I had a good time on the show. I lost like 10 pounds while I was on it. I was sweating for 2 hours after that.
I saw that. You went through a lot of those napkins, man. Maybe they looked like they handed you like 8 or 9 of them.
Oh, my God. My nose was leaking. Everything. My asshole was leaking. Everything. My pee hole. I had fluid coming out of everywhere. But it was fun. You got to do shit like that from time to time to remind you.
For
I should
sure.
have brought beer. Don't even drink beer. I should have brought fucking beer. Beers. Look at this. We got a great card tomorrow, guys.
Yeah.
Even the undercard is not a bad card. You got the return of my man, Nate Marquardt, right? He's fighting tomorrow?
He's fighting Smiling Sam Alvey.
Yeah, he's fighting again. Rogerio. I mean, we got some fights here. This is a great card, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that headline fight, that's as good as any headline fight you'll see.
Yeah.
I think those girls are going to beat the hell out of each other tomorrow. And blood, ambulances, the whole thing.
Joey, we have Richard Hunter here from the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast. He co-hosts with Frank Mir, and he's got a question for you. Go ahead, Richard. What do you have for Joey?
Joey, you know, as long as I've been hearing you pick fights and talk fights, what do you think is one factor that a lot of odds makers don't necessarily take into account, maybe the ones that don't know MMA, you know, quite as well as some others? Is there always one thing that sticks out in your mind that you think sometimes they overlook? What was that?
The weigh-ins.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
it lines
I
up.
think that the weigh-ins tell you a lot, you know, and before the line gets put out, I think the weigh-in really, I look at the weigh-in a lot. That's why you really can't pick anything until the weigh-in.
In terms of physical,
This guy looks like.
Yeah,
it's like when you go to the track, right? You go to the track, you buy a program, but you know what? You go to the thing down below where the horses walk around first.
Right.
And you look at them, and you see how the trainer's talking to the horse. And you see if he's petting the horse. You know, some assholes go down there and they see the color and all that stuff. I go down there to look at how the trainer's talking to the horse and how he walks around with him. I still fucking lose. Don't get me wrong. I just go over here to Hollywood Park. I bring $40, and when it's gone, as long as I have a clam chowder and a fucking beer, I'm pretty happy. So I go there that way. But that's it. I think you gotta, you know, I don't know. Do I know how the fuck you're gonna feel a month from today? I don't know. So why would I bet you a month? That's why people kill me when they call me and they go, "What do you think of this fight?" Who the fuck knows? I won't know dick till the day of the fucking weigh-in until I look at both of his eyes, who sucked out. You know, in the old days, you just went in the back and see who got an IV afterward. And then you ran to the fucking book. Who the fuck you think you're dealing with? You fucking novice? I was walking around back there because I want to talk to people and bingo. Fuck no. I want to see how they react after the weigh-in, how they look at each other, how they react and look at their coach.
Yeah.
You know, when Anderson Silva fought the kid that he kicked him in the face, remember he put the fucking mask on. Anderson won the fight.
Vitor Belfort.
If you didn't run to the book right to the weigh-in, you fucked up.
You know, there's got to be some
fucking weigh-in. You just ran to the fucking book.
You know, there's got to be some old fighters from back then that are always like, yeah, it's always great to see Joey Diaz, but it's weird in the back because he's like pinching my skin and opening my mouth, looking at my teeth.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I give him a hug. It's like when I touch her. It's like when I see you, I always hug you. I'm feeling for why. You think I'm hugging you because I don't like nobody. I'm just hugging you for why. Make sure the fucking Fidel or one of his associates and shit. Same thing goes with the boxers, with the fighters. I go up to them, I give them a hug. I want to feel their heartbeat. You know, that's what it's all about, man. These fucking people start. I don't know dick until the weigh-in. That's when my mind. Listen to me. I went to a fucking weigh-in with Conor McGregor against the little Diaz, the first one, and I saw McGregor flinch, and I went to my room, okay. And at the fucking show with Joe Rogan, that flinch ate me alive. While Rogan was on stage, I walked over with a buddy of mine, and I banged it. And I went upstairs, and I laid down, and with my sleep apnea mask, I got up at 2 in the morning, and I called my wife and told her to put more money on my books. My wife was like, "You're going to do cocaine?" I go, no. Don't worry about that. I'll show you tomorrow. And I came home the next night, I threw the ticket at my wife, and she goes, "Well, it looks like we're watching the fight." The reason why I bet the first McGregor fight was because I saw him flinch.
Interesting stuff.
I saw how hot he was, and I saw him flinch. The second one, guess what? He flinched again. But he won the decision.
All right.
The second
All
one.
those little things is what I look at. I don't give a fuck about what happened. You never know how a person's feeling that day.
So you could give a shit about the road to the octagon, the countdown. You're not worried about that. You want to get to those weigh-ins.
That's what everybody else. That's what everybody else is saying. It's like when you fucking get in your car and you call your car for direction. He's putting you in traffic along with the rest of these fucking Gentiles. They're putting you in traffic. So make a right on fucking whatever. And there you are with 200 other fucking people who are listening to the same lady. So when you see the road to the octagon, 200 other fucking morons see that too. They're going to be betting the same thing they see there. You can wipe your ass on that shit.
No one does it better than Joey Diaz. Follow him on Twitter at MadFlavor. Joey, thanks as always for the time, man. We will definitely look forward to doing this with you again. I think we have UFC 208 coming up, 209. So a lot of them are starting to line up nicely.
We got some great fucking cards. We got some great cards and some great information coming on a daily basis. Keep me posted and shit, all right?
All right, brother. Thanks for everything.
You guys with all my heart. Listen, avoid the Trump fucking wagon. They're going to try to invite you to like a baseball game or something. Or to an event, and Trump's going to be there with a big fucking net. Don't go for it. Don't believe the hype.
It's going to be, Joey. It's going to be like back when all those guys that owed back child support fell for the free Raiders ticket scam. Remember that?
Yes. Remember Sea of Love with De Niro and the Fat Fox? Beginning, that's how it opened. They invited everybody to a Yankee game. All those fucking New Yorkers. Hey, where's the ticket? They gave him a fucking cocktail and put him on a bus. Oh, fool.
All right, Joe.
Weekend,
thanks, man. Take care. We love you too. All right, we'll see you. Mad Flavor, and I got the so they stream live on YouTube as well. So I got that information for you. If you don't want to subscribe, a lot of you want to watch it live. I'm a Mac guy, so I always throw out the iTunes, but he's available on Stitcher. They do it twice a week. It's the Church of What's Happening Now, and the YouTube channel is youtube.com/Mad Flavors World. Check it out. You'll really, really get a kick out of Joey Diaz. All right, we're going to take this break. When we come back, we will take your calls at 866-522-2846. Showtime will be leading things off, but get on the on-deck circle. Follow Showtime because we have plenty of time here to cover these fights happening this weekend. Bellator's also got an offering. Bellator 171 with Njokwani and Gallard. We'll be right back. Richard Hunter in-house.
Kong has a lot of shit on them. Like a lot, especially Goes. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, a couple shout-outs going on here. Jimmy Jams is saying hello to Richard.
Hello.
So is that your boy? You know him?
Jimmy James from My Morning Jacket.
Jimmy Jams, maybe. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Jaymz.
Oh, yeah. This this is one of the MMA Complex guys, I think. Hey, man.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
A lot of Coco fans. Fernando Castellan Jr., Refius Zucol, all feeling Joey Diaz, loving Joey. James Murphy as well. Diego Martinez is saying Nate is worth a solid $1 million per fight. You know, I don't think any of us would disagree with that number. If he got paid $2 million to fight Conor, and he has become a superstar, and he does have fun fights, I could live with him fighting for $1 million for the rest of his life. I think he got paid $500,000. Am I thinking of Mendez, or was it him coming off the boat with Melendez 10 days? I thought he got $500,000 for that one, but
depends who he's fighting.
Yeah.
There's also a difference between whether or not they're worth it and whether or not anybody has to pay them that. And I think that's the bigger picture. I don't think it's a matter of the promoters sitting there going, well, no, we're not going to make our money back if we pay this amount or that amount. I think it's more looking at it going, we don't have to pay him that, do we? Like, we're the biggest.
I agree. But Nate Diaz is also a fight or two, a moment away, a moment or two, a belt or not away from being yet. Like, once you get there, they could take these big steps. You know what I mean? If Nate would really make that run for the title, I'm telling you, man, I think he would even soar more. So, like, let's say the UFC were to cut ties with him. He's so polarizing, and his fights are what people want to see, that I think he could be a needle mover somewhere else. You also have to be careful how you play him. Now, the one thing WME, IMG has on their side is time. You don't become 30 years old again. You don't become 31 again, 32. Diaz, I just looked him up. The older one is 33. The younger one, I think, I didn't click him, but I think he's probably 30, 31.
They don't realize they're in that fight. That's their biggest opponent.
Exactly, man. And, you know, I'm telling you, you just don't get these years back. Like, it caught me off guard. I knew Penn had aged, but when I saw he was 38, I go, fuck.
Nothing wrong with that age.
No, there's nothing wrong with that age, but I started thinking, like, okay, I think Yair might crush him now. I was thinking Yair might beat him, but I started thinking he could get crushed, and he did. I mean, these ages just sneak up on me. Koscheck, I think, just turned 40 or 39. So there ain't no, is his neck better? Is he going to fight for Bellator? That horse is done, you know. There is no Daly versus Koscheck anymore. I think a lot of us were hanging on to maybe if they could make that happen. But at this point, if they're that injured, it's just time to go because there's too many young guns that are knocking at the door.
Did you almost say that horse has sailed?
No, I almost said put the horse out the pad. I didn't want to make it sound like, you know, shoot him in the leg, he's done, or nothing like that. It's just his career, I believe, is done. Especially, I think when he came over to Bellator, we've all felt like, yeah, they could still do it. They could still do it. It's not like they haven't put a 50-year-old against the late 40-year-old before, but at the same time, it's also about developing new talent, and I don't know how much longer Bellator will do that. I think they're doing it through the first 5 years, but then after that, it'll be their own talent that works its way up and performs.
Nick Diaz's first fight was in 2001.
Yeah.
You know how much wear and tear, especially with the battles. Just think of Gomi's fight. Just the Gomi fight, what that probably did to his body.
But playing that card of saying, no, I'll just wait, it works. And when you do it, you cash in. But I'm telling you, you just don't get those years back.
I think there's going to have to be a sea change between the two top promotions. You're just talking about the UFC versus Bellator example. Because right now what the UFC can do is they can go, okay, we don't have to pay somebody any more than what we're paying them, so we just let them sit. And like you said, the clock continues to tick. Now, if you're in that position, what you can hope for right now as a fighter is, okay, well, maybe at some point that contract runs out, and then I do like a Matt Mitrione type move. You know, I'll go over to Bellator, and all of a sudden I'm one of their top guys, or they market me against a big name like Fedor. But that's still not the big payoff. That's kind of more of a I'm sure he wouldn't explain it this way, but to me it's kind of a little bit more of a consolation prize because, yeah, you're going over there and you've got a big name coming from UFC, but it's not like you jump from one monster free agent situation to another. I think it's going to have to change to where you can actually not only go over to another organization, but make that kind of big money that you were not making over at the other organization. We're just not there yet.
Yeah. There's going to be a situation in both Nate and Nick's life, I think, where they sit down and they go, all right, how much did you make in your career? And say one of them says $5 million. Somebody's going to tap them on the shoulder and guess what? You could have made 20, or you could have made 15.
Possibly. They're durable. They're
if
tough
they're
guys.
okay with that.
They're tough guys. They're always in shape. I think there's something to Cowboy's blueprint, except Cowboy realized about a year ago, wait a minute, he actually drove here to Sahara to the UFC offices and said, hang on a sec. And he did get himself more of a payday. But you know what? I think they respected his hustle. He's exciting. You call him, he's in. And I think the Diaz brothers could have that type of a run. 6 fights in 18 months. Hopefully go 4-2 or 5-1. And I'm telling you, they really graduate to these big tiers of money. But it's these layoffs and suspensions and these stances that they take. And, like, for Nick, it hasn't been as much. For Nate, he's just taken losses. All right? For Nick, it's just been the problems, the suspensions. But I'm telling you, man, these guys are on the cusp of superstardom. They're very close.
But see, from a business standpoint, the flip side of that is, you just brought up the Cerrone example. It also doesn't hurt, especially when you're the big dog in the game like the UFC is and you get this flack for not paying fighters more. Go ahead and take in a Cerrone example. Go ahead and give them a little more money. Get that feel-good narrative out there. All of a sudden, you got a guy that's a fan favorite going around going, hey, they took care of me. And also, it doesn't hurt that he happened to be one of the guys who was standing up with the Fighter Association thing a month or two prior to that. So you've got that story to kind of counterbalance the narrative of somebody like Nate Diaz who's going, I'm so underpaid, it's ridiculous. But the way that he's presenting that message a lot of times has some contempt with it.
He actually said he wants Dana to contact him. It worked when they wanted to make the Conor fight. I think Diaz played his hand perfectly there, and they actually flew to Stockton and bought him lunch. Apparently, they made him an offer way better than what he used to make, but not still what he wanted. But he forced them to pay them a lot more than normal because the Conor fight was huge and everybody knew it. Now he has to realize the next fight, if it's not Conor, is not huge. But he also does have the trilogy in the back pocket because they are 1-1. So he has to be careful how he plays that. But I'm telling you, this sport, man, is fascinating in that these stories can change so quickly. And, now Conor may be thinking about Floyd. The UFC's warming up to that. Khabib's starting to become a big name. He's laying out a foundation for possibly Woodley. So Diaz could be put off to the side. Diaz has to go out there and fight. But the way Diaz committed himself against Michael Johnson, that was probably the best Nate Diaz I ever saw. And if he could do that, I'm telling you, he would have a chance to win the 155-pound belt. He's already got a win over the current champion. I thought that Diaz would have a great shot against Alvarez as well. I don't know. All right, let's go to Josh in Ontario. What's up, Josh? How you doing?
Hey, guys. Just checking in here. I got a quick thing I want to ask. I read the other day on Twitter, it's a completely off topic. It's about UFC 210, but I heard that DC took the fight and he asked to be in Buffalo specifically because it was close and he could make it up for the Toronto fans. Have you heard anything about that?
That kind of makes sense. I haven't heard that, but that kind of makes sense.
Okay, yeah, it's just something I read, and as a guy who bought a ticket the day the tickets came out for 206, and, I never hesitated on whether I was going or not. I just think that's fucking badass and real cool. And, I'm only, I'm 2 hours from Buffalo, 2 hours from Toronto, so, DC's trying to pull my arm here and twist me into going to Buffalo, too, so. But that's all I got. I just thought that was pretty fucking cool. So I don't know if there's any truth to it at all, but that's all. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right. See you,
it's
Josh.
within his personality.
It is?
He does that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I believe he's got to be the only fighter in the history of MMA Junkie that ever offered to fly a listener to one of his fights, right?
Right.
Remember
Russ
that?
from Boston. I think Russ is making the trek from Boston to Buffalo for this fight. Yeah. Let's go to Showtime in Tennessee. What's up, Showtime?
What on, fellas?
How you doing?
Shit, I'm doing, man. I'm trying to get home, man. Been a long day.
Where you at in Virginia? What's that? What's their motto or what that sign say? Lovers, something about lovers in Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia is for lovers.
Virginia's
yeah,
for lovers.
I actually went to New York. Yeah, I ran to New York. I'm headed back home now.
Okay, all right. What's on your mind?
You know what, man? About talking about fights from this card, man. It's not a big fight, but the Jason Knight fight and the serious, man, that's gonna be a good fight, man. I think that may be one of the most exciting fights on the card, man.
You guys liking that? Hick Diaz or Bruce Leroy?
You know what? I got a little favoritism because I'm originally from Mississippi, and Jason Knight is a Mississippi boy, so Mississippi boys know how to show out. Walter Payton, Jerry Rice, all them, we know how to show out when we get on the big stage. So I think Knight's gonna show out.
That's where Jerry Rice is from?
Yeah, he went to Mississippi State. No, Mississippi Valley State or something like that.
Oh shit!
Yeah, Mississippi Valley, yeah. Brett Favre is from Mississippi, man. A lot of guys are from Mississippi Hall of Fame.
The kid with the tree trunk legs that fought Paul Harris and attacked his legs, Belcher, also from Mississippi. Who do you guys like in that? Knight versus I said Hick Diaz versus Bruce Leroy, but I'm talking about Jason Knight versus Alex Caceres.
I like Jason Knight.
I do too.
I think Caceres gives you hell everywhere, but sometimes he's just not able to get over the hump.
Yep.
All right, here's my parlay. I'm announcing it right now, and I that's exactly what I needed to hear. I have Shevchenko, Masvidal, Knight, and Alvey. And I like Bruce Leroy, so I don't like going against them. For some reason, I've always liked that kid. I'm always preaching 5 instead of 4. I'm going to keep my last one private. PayPal me some money. I'll give you that last one. No, but seriously, those are the 4, and I do have one more. I'm just not going to go public with it. But I have a 5-teamer. And you have to have a dog, so it's not like I think Cerrone sucks. Mm-hmm. It's just I have to pick a dog. And for one, I'm riding with Masvidal. And he's an underdog, so we'll see how that one goes.
You should have one of those. I guess it's a little past the year to have one of those call-in numbers, right? For the betting, Gorgeous George is never wrong. Get free 5 picks today.
401. Yeah.
Hey, George, I like that. I like Aljamain Sterling with that parlay as well, man. I think he's gonna look good this fight. I like that parlay. I mean, it can kind of go either way with the ladies, but as far as those other picks on there, I like what you said.
Both tough guys. If a Sun Sal prior to Dillashaw shows up, he may get it, man. If a Sun Sal that showed up versus Dillashaw fights, I like the improvements I've seen out of Sterling every single time he goes out. It's going to be a great fight. That one's probably one I'm staying away from, but the one nice thing about if you take Sterling is you do get those odds. So that would be 2 underdogs if you went with him as part of the 5-teamer. But, wow, that's a tough one, man. It really is. I think gun to the head, I still think one guy's a veteran. And, see, Sterling has to prove to me that he can shake off what Caraway did to him. He out-experienced him. And once he held them down, as great of a grappler as Aljamain was, I mean, Caraway was a beast, and a Sun Sal can be that way. That said, I saw Sun Sal get tapped by Uriah Faber. So I've seen both versions of a great grappler and how it can go. My mind will just, I will short circuit if I think about it enough. I think I'd rather just enjoy that one.
The whole card is like that.
Yeah.
The whole card is a nightmare.
Yeah.
I went gun to the head, I went to Sun Sal.
Do you have a parlay going? Do you have 3 you like?
I haven't done one
No?
yet. Yeah.
How about you, Richard?
No.
Circle any?
Sure.
But you're right. I mean, this is every once in a while, it seems like one of these cards comes along where almost top to bottom, everything is so difficult to pick. Mm-hmm. Even the Ngannou Arlovsky fight. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm that comfortable with that much of a gap. I mean,
you have to lay a lot on Ngannou.
Yeah.
And with the way the other guy hits,
you
kick yourself. It's not going to do much to improve your parlay. So you either ride with Arlovsky and hope he doesn't get clipped and maybe he can put some hands on Ngannou, or you just leave it alone. I don't know. All right, Showtime. Thank you so much for calling in, my man. It was great to talk to you last night as well on AMP Radio.
All right, guys.
Okay, we'll see you. Well, that was quick.
Well, there's not many choices.
Goes is 3-teamer. These are public, right? I can go with this?
Yeah.
Goes is going with Sam Alvey at -150, Valentino Shevchenko at -130, and Jorge Masvidal at +130. So you and I will be high-fiving if this hits. Did I pick Alvey? Yeah, okay. So you and I will be high-fiving if your three-teamer hits. How about you, Richard? Who do you like? I can't remember if you've ever told me this, but do you gamble?
No.
Have you ever gambled?
The only thing I have occasionally put money on MMA or boxing because I feel like it's something I might have some slight inkling about. Other than that, I'm really bad at math, so I can't keep up with, like, table games and stuff like that, you know.
You've never done an MMA parlay?
Yeah, no, I've done that before.
Okay.
I think I've taken yours before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any good ones or the bad ones?
I don't remember any particular celebratory moment, so maybe I've caught you on
on a cold streak.
Yeah, on a cold streak. Yeah, yeah.
All right, we're gonna go to break. This is the last one. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Quick shout out to Ben Garcia saying, "What's up? What's up, Ben? Thanks for tuning in." And Diego Sanchez, he was the one that contributed the Nate Diaz million per fight topic, and we went with this. So thanks, Diego, for participating. We'll be right back after this quick break.
They taught Andy Griffith how to whistle. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Guys, I'm not sure I got enough of a reaction out of you two when I told you that the LA Times had reported that Nick Diaz turned down a fight against Woodley. Did that make you sick to your stomach like it did to me? I mean, you're right. It's not shocking, but I really thought, wow, the UFC wouldn't cave into that one.
Yeah.
I think they'd call Woodley and go, motherfucker, he hasn't won since 2011. Like, we just gave him Anderson. We gave him GSP after the Condon loss. We've tried that a few times, and we're doing these interim bouts. I mean, we're really ruffling some feathers here. So, you know, call out someone else. I mean, GSP, we could make that happen. But Diaz?
I think.
Wow. I mean, think about the power either Diaz has or just how zany WMEIMG is.
That's what I was going to say. I think the old brass had a conscience up to a certain point, but I think this new brass is just, let's make money.
They may actually say, Rogan, call up Wesley Snipes. Let's really do it.
Yeah, I agree with the point that Go's just made. And the other part of it, too, is keep in mind that because Diaz is such a folk hero, that I actually think there would be less resistance from that fight, or to that fight, from the casual MMA fan, not the one that knows better. And what I mean by know better is the points that you're making. I mean, it really is not justified at this point, but just to those people that go, oh, I know that guy, man. Those Diaz brothers, they're badasses. This is going to be a great fight. You know, there's a lot of people who won't go any further than that, and you know what? Their $50 spins just as easily as the guy who knows the rankings.
Let's take this call from Mr. X. What's up, Mr. X?
Coming at ya, gentlemen. Good morning, and of course, it's always great to have a radio guy, i.e. Richard Hunter, in the Junkie House. I do have a question that's not going to be MMA related per se, but for Richard, Richard was an on-the-air talent in Texas, and obviously made a transition from that to now MMA and podcasting. So, quick question, because it's an interesting dynamic that we have here. Basically, the godfathers of podcasting, Gorgeous George and Goes, versus, of course, someone that, maybe not versus, but with someone that was a radio talent. So, Richard, what was that transition like going from radio to podcasting?
Well, for me,
let him know, Richard, what you think of our situation.
The best part about it, Mr. X, is that there are no program directors in podcasting. That is the 100% best thing I can say about it. So you are and you can be your own boss, and also there's no hard breaks you have to hit. So you can tell your story as long as it feels naturally comfortable before you transition on to another topic. And it's also, I mean, if you're enterprising, you can be your own boss and kind of create your own destiny. I really, the one thing I wish I had done from the very beginning, because I started podcasting my show while it was on the radio. I mean, I just offered a podcast version, and it's not unlike what you guys do as well, because, I mean, it's heard other places and Sirius and all that. But I really wish I had been podcasting from the very beginning and never taken any breaks doing that. Because the great part about podcasting is it's like once somebody subscribes to you, it's like they've given you the keys to their computer or their phone or whatever. I mean, you can get in touch with them literally via that podcast if they subscribe to you. Mm-hmm. You know, if you knew the name of one of your subscribers, you could actually create a podcast and go, hey, Tom, it's me, George, I'm talking to you. I've got something to say to you. I mean, you're not going to do that. But that's the intimacy of podcasting that's not available on radio. And then the other thing is, too, in radio, the day after they fire you, you just keep on podcasting and you're still reaching all your listeners. Yeah. So I don't know if that answers the question.
You know what's even better, Richard?
Yes.
Is having a podcast about a podcast. That's even better. Listen, gentlemen, I really appreciate having Gigi on our show yesterday. You guys are tremendous. Richard, I really like what you and Frank Mir do, and obviously keep it up. And thanks a lot, you guys. I really do appreciate your time. I like that. Wow. I'm gone.
All right. See you, Mr. X.
Thank you.
The U.S. men's national team is kicking off their 2017 campaign, and it's on Sirius XM FC. Don't miss the debut of new USA head coach Bruce Arena. You happy with that, Goes?
Not really.
As he leads the Yanks against Serbia. It's the United States versus Serbia, presented by ESPN, Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM FC. Soccer all day, every day. Also, congrats to the Man U Red Devils. Man United advanced to the final of the first cup. There's what's called, or it used to be called, the Carling Cup. Now it's just called the Cup, the EFL. I don't know what the fuck, man. It's not the FA Cup, though. It's not that. But we are in the finals versus Southampton. I really wanted to meet our old-time rivals, Liverpool, but they had gotten eliminated on Wednesday. So, Jose, maybe you can haul in a trophy here.
Be nice.
That'd be nice. Also, apologies to any males that wear Uggs. I thought Uggs was a shoe. I thought it was the boots that my girlfriend wears, and I've seen other girls wear. I thought those were Uggs. I didn't know it was a brand. When I dove into the website, when I was corrected by guys like Marcel from Houston, Showtime from Tennessee, they do have men's apparel. I got to admit, some of them shoes were pretty cool, so I can see why
not feeling it.
Some of these would wear. Well, Showtime says he wears some of these boots for
Showtime's credit score just dipped.
You don't think that's a decent boot right there? Well, it's like a Die Hard. It looks like the ones I have. I mean, that's not a –
still
they're slippers. They're still Uggs. Okay. All right. Well, my apologies, Stans. I guess now you're going to have problems because they came at me hard.
Like that boot right there is the guy that I know. I still know what you did last summer. Didn't he wear those?
I think so.
That can't be cool.
When Corey Haim OD'd, everybody remember Corey Haim from the Coreys? Corey Haim and Corey Feldman? At his estate sale, I had the option of either buying his Ugg boots or his Trump Taj Mahal bathrobe. And I went with the bathrobe because his Uggs were a size 9, so I couldn't get my foot into them. So I went with the bathrobe.
Richard, tonight you'll be calling. Wait, is that public or?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Tonight you'll be calling fights. Remember yesterday we were at Extreme Couture and I scooped up about some of the local stuff, some of the glossies that were laying around. One of them I did notice there's some fights happening in town, some amateur fights at Sam's
Town Casino tonight. Real mixed martial arts. I'll be doing commentary there, and normally Frank Mir is out there with me. He's in Australia tonight, so I'll be solo. But doors are at 6. First fight's at 7. Tickets available at Ticketmaster. It's a great night of amateur mixed martial arts and Muay Thai fights. You can check out the Real Mixed Martial Arts Facebook page too for more information on that. But come hang out with me and enjoy every seat in the house is a great seat. It's a very nice little venue setup they have there at Sam's Town.
Mm-hmm. And again, he co-hosts Phone Booth Fighting with Frank Mir. It drops twice. You can subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher. And if you want to follow them on their social media, on Facebook and Instagram, it's Phone Booth Fighting you're looking for. And on Snapchat and Twitter, it's at Phone Booth Fight.
Jorge Masvidal is our guest on the episode that posted yesterday talking about his fight with Cowboy Cerrone.
Very cool. That guy's a gangster, man. I love that guy. So keep it locked on MMA Junkie throughout the weekend. John Morgan's out there. Is Cold Coffee with him?
I don't know.
Do we have another writer, or is it just a two-man team?
Probably not because Justin lives there, so I would imagine.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. So we have coverage for you for Shevchenko and Pena. And also, remember yesterday we were telling you about the rumors tab on MMA Junkie. Don't forget, Bellator, big 170 card for them. After they got additional views or ratings, they crossed over 2 million with Ortiz and Chael.
Mm-hmm.
I had said 1.85 million the day we had Tito here, or not here, but on the show. I guess there's other reports that come in. What is it? I guess on demand. You know, the people once they get access to all that, they actually went into the 2.2 million views.
Wow.
That was the rate, not their rating, but that's how many viewers tuned in to Bellator 170. So that was massive for them. But they're continuing their thing tonight. It's Gallard versus Njokuani. That's Chidi Njokuani at a catch weight of 180 pounds. That's your main event, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Spike. You also have A.J. McKee, David Rickles, and a few others of their young stars, Tyrell Fortune, on that undercard. So check it out. Goes and I can be followed on Twitter and on Instagram at MMA Junkie George. Facebook. We have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/MMA Junkie Radio. Richard Hunter can be followed. Let's see here. ThePhoneBoothFighting.com is the website. And you can follow him on Twitter at Richard Hunter.
That's right.
We got 90 seconds, 60 seconds. Anybody want to say anything here before we exit? No? Well, then I'll just thank our guests for the week. Aljamain Sterling, Valentina Shevchenko, Jorge Masvidal, John McCarthy, Rafael Asuncao, Eric Nixick, Tito Ortiz, Ray Longo, Aspen Ladd, Richard Hunter, Ron Kruck, and Joey Diaz. Go ahead.
I was going to tell people, don't bet the fights this weekend. Just enjoy them.
Just enjoy them?
They're too close to bet. Don't bet them. Just sit back, have fun.
Maybe
a dumb parlay.
maybe a dumb parlay will work for me. Mine's Shevchenko.
But don't try and make a lot of money this weekend. There's too much going on.
Sam Alvey,
altitude. There's too many factors.
These are actually the kind of fights that I don't bet because I know I'm going to enjoy the close matchups anyway. It's usually when they're way out of whack if I feel like I need to have a little artificial incentive to be compelled.
Thanks for co-hosting, man.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me, as always.
You back. All right. So for Danny and Richard and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. Go out there and be champions.
Looking